So you rightly mentioned that the India raw material security has been hovering around securing the coking coal acquisition. If you see in the entire cost structure of the steel making, it's not iron ore, it is coking coal which takes the lion's shares in terms of the cost aspect. So, and the coking coal market is notoriously volatile. So, a couple of years back, it went up to almost $600 per ton. It subsequently came down to 130, 140. Now it is again go up to $240 per ton. So in Vedanta, we have a small steel making capacity in Jharkhand, Bokaro, it's 1.3 million ton. And we have a bigger plant in Goa producing almost 0.9 million ton. So roughly 2.3, 2.2 kind of capacity we have, and we procure raw material like coking coal almost 2 million ton. Mostly it's imported. And it's the structure. Means, if you see when 20 years back when I came to the industry, the same problem was there that we are highly dependent on coking coal import. On our domestic market is not coming up to fulfill the requirement on the steel industry. And unfortunately, today also we are speaking the same language. So you rightly mentioned that around 85 to 90% of our coking coal import requirement are fulfilled to import only. So it's a structural issue for India. The main coking coal production, which is coming around 50 to 60 million ton, but hardly any of that portion is usable for the steel industry because of high ash content. So 25 to 30% of the ash component is there, and after washing also it doesn't come down to the requirement of 10 to 15% kind of ash content. We tried to do that through the washery system, but the coking coal washeries from the CIL, most of them are 30, 40, 50 years old. Their productivity is hardly 25 to 30%. So out of that 50, 60 million ton of coking coal which is produced, the worst coking coal is hardly 5 to 6 million ton. And over the last 10, 12 years has not increased yet. The yield is actually coming down. Coal India came out with a grand policy of bringing up 8 to 10 new coking coal washeries, but still hardly any progress was made on that. So the plan is there, but the implementation or actualization on plan, that is the delay. Even our endeavor to acquire the coking coal mine outside India through the ICVL International Coal Venture Limited had a very limited outcome. We bought a couple of coal blocks in Mozambique, but not producing much, and the quality is also not good. So what we need that we have to start thinking of how we can use our own coking coal through R&D if that ash content can be reduced at least till 15 to 20%, and then we can blend it with the imported coking coal so that we can get a better quality aspect. Now technology has come actually. If we make the usage of AI or ML, that can give us the better blend matrix. So in the new coking coal washeries, if we can utilize that kind of technology, that will be helpful to us. Similarly, when we procure coking coal from import, why can't we make a consortium kind of thing, that the kind of big steel players come together and jointly negotiate with the big coking coal miners, the BHPs or Dentos, that can give us the better leverage in terms of getting a better discount or better pricing structure for the coking coal. Similarly, we need to spend on the exploration of the coking coal. The huge amount of reserve or resources we are having, how we can generate that pipeline of resources grade, of better grade of coking coal. So exploration is also important. These are the key takeaways for the coking coal things. Luckily, government is also have come out with a number of policies. The best thing as coking coal has been considered as the critical mineral, which can help the new project to get rid of the public hearing for the new projects, and that can also expedite the coking coal blocks to be operational in a lesser number of days. So that's a broad issue. Secondly, as you mentioned, transportation, logistics. So I see the transportation as a bottlenecks for the scale. So India's road capacity or road transportation, new roads are massively built. The kilometers per day constructed has almost doubled in the last 10 years. But despite that, if you see the rail transportation in Australia, one single rake is more than 1.2, 1.5 kilometer long. And that can give the economies of scale for transportation of, say, iron ore. But here, the rate constraint is not even solved. Similarly, for the road transportation, if you see the areas like Odisha or Jharkhand, even in Goa, for the sake of giving the employment to the local transportation, the per truck capacity is very small. We have been using small capacity trucks because of the money constraint or the employment generation constraint. Why can't we replace those small trucks with the bigger trucks? Because it can reduce the transportation cost per movement as well as lesser amount of pilferage and lesser amount of wastage. We can make a consortium or coordinated approach where the more transporters will come together and invest in better capacity of trucks. But we have to also look at not only coal but other raw materials, particularly iron ore or the critical raw materials which are important for steel making. How we can improve the production of those things. So this year, 25-26, last year, sorry, is a milestone year where India imported almost 12 million tons of iron ore. Despite producing over 300 million ton iron ore, we have to import that. So there's a pity. And most of the iron ores which are being imported is a higher grade, 62-65% grade. This means there's a lack of high availability of the domestic iron ore. So, but we have more than 10 billion ton resource of high-grade magnetite ore. But it's pity that we cannot explore or produce this high-grade magnetite because most of these magnetite ores are constrained into the ecologically sensitive zone, particularly in Kudremukh area in Karnataka. But things have changed, so we need to see how we can make a balance between the ecology and the economic requirement. So hematite ore is clearly available, but what about using those on reserved for the high-grade magnetite? Similarly, the critical minerals which are needed for the specialty steel, for example, vanadium or tungsten or nickel, these are used as a ferroalloys. Every ferroalloy is coming with some kind of critical minerals. Nickel, almost $1.7 billion worth of nickel is India importing every day. Vanadium or molybdenum, China restricted that export of molybdenum, which is very much useful in India's specialty grade steel. Tungsten, we are moving into the defense grade steel, where tungsten is very much important because of particular characteristics of this mineral. We are not producing enough of that. In the most of the critical minerals, we are 100% import dependent. But our exploration expenditure on these new age minerals are extremely low. Countries like Australia, Canada, they spend almost $2 to $3 billion every year on exploration. Our exploration expenditure is likely limited to say a few $100 million. So how we can attract investment in the expenditure of exploration to produce these kind of minerals for India rather than getting import dependent? Third issue you have mentioned about how the downstream industries can be more resilient and they become more competitive. But I see as the importance of competitiveness should come actually from the top of the level. So unless and until your mining sector, your integrated steel producers doesn't become cost competitive, the downstream sector cannot become competitive enough. But if you see the raw material sector, we are burdened with huge amount of royalty. So iron ore royalty is 15%, which is by far the highest in the world. Countries like China or Brazil, South Africa, everywhere the royalty is around 2 to 5%. Ours is almost 15%. Moreover, that the auction regime has come. The average bid premium for iron ore itself is around 115%. So come 2030, when all those captive blocks will come be auctioned, I'm afraid that our entire cost competitiveness from the iron ore sectors will be severely challenged. So you can impose any kind of safeguard duty or import duty, but that can give you only for a few years of safeguard. But the overall, if you want to make a steel capacity of 300 million ton, we can't depend on the safeguard duties or import duties. We have to become cost competitive inherently. So the raw material has to come at a cheaper price. Then only your steel production can come at a competitive way. So if you can't become the competitive in the domestic market, you can't become competitive in the export market. Right. So Mr. Pankaj Satija and the steel ministry person was saying that we need to grab the export opportunity in the Middle East, where China is our competitor. But if we can't become the cost competitive, then we can't export that also. And then the quality aspect of it, of course, is there. So these are the few thoughts I wanted to share on the topics we have selected. Thank you.